What's up, everybody? Justin here. Today, we're going to be doing a little walkthrough of the Clovis Thermo Metabolic Foods list. Now, what is the Thermo Metabolic Foods list? So, first things first, what I've done here is created a foods list that's going to help you increase your metabolic rate and help your body create more energy from the food that you're eating. Hence the term thermometabolic. Basically, I'm trying to light your metabolic furnace. I'm trying to increase the amount of energy output in your body. You can actually picture this much like a furnace, right? If we throw a bunch of logs into a furnace, and the more logs we burn, the more we shove in there, the hotter that fire gets, the more energy is going to be created. If you have a furnace that has a huge fire in your house, it's going to generate more heat. It's going to heat the house much better than if we just had a little furnace and threw some little twigs and sticks in there, right? So thermometabolic foods, by the definition I've created for them, are foods that are going to fundamentally increase your metabolic output. So in the mainstream health and wellness realm, we really have been lied to about how energy works in the body. We've been taught that it is calories in, calories out, right? And calories in, calories out is taught to us as energy balance, meaning energy in and energy out. So it's like, oh, you're taking in this energy, then you need to burn enough energy for that food to not make you fat. This is the way that calories in, calories out works. But this is kind of nonsense, right? Studies have proven that there are well over 100 different environmental factors that go into how much energy is created by your body. So we have to look at it like this. If you have a car, right, an automobile, and you put gasoline in that car, the car is not going to go anywhere if it doesn't have spark plugs. Spark plugs are the catalyst for energy creation. The spark happens, it lights the gasoline on fire, makes a mini explosion, and energy is created, right? That doesn't mean that gasoline is energy. It means that gasoline is potential energy. And with the right catalyst, that potential energy will be converted into actual energy that will then propel the car forward. The same thing is true in your body. Your metabolism fundamentally is designed to take in potential energy and convert it into actual energy. This is measured in the body as something called ATP. ATP is really thought of as the energy currency of the human body. Now, the amount of energy that you can create, the amount of energy that will come from the food that you're taking in, is dependent on your metabolic health, right? So the first thing that we're doing here with the thermometabolic foods list is we are removing any and all what I call toxic foods that are preventing your metabolism from working correctly. The most common offenders are things like wheat and other grain products, ultra-processed foods, things you don't want in your body, like artificial dyes and food colorings, red dye number 40, yellow number 5, blue number 1, these kinds of things. Artificial sweeteners are really nasty. A big one that we remove is seed oils. This is canola oil, rapeseed oil, sunflower oil, soybean oil, all these foods that just do not belong in your body. They slow down your metabolism. They actually damage your metabolism at the level of the mitochondria, something called the electron transport chain, and they inhibit the amount of energy your body can create from the foods that you're eating, okay? So we want to make sure that we're limiting metabolic damage by getting rid of the worst offenders, these like ultra-processed toxic foods. So all that said, step one, we're removing the foods that slow down and diminish the amount of body your energy can create, and we're loading you up on thermometabolic foods. These are the foods that add to your metabolic furnace, that increase the amount of energy that you can create in your body. Now, the number one driver of how much energy you're going to create in the body actually comes from micronutrients. So you may be familiar with the term macronutrients. This is fat, protein, and carbohydrates. You'll see this on the nutrition facts of, like, if you just pick up a food and read the box or whatever, you'll see the nutrition facts panel shows protein, fat, carbohydrates, and some other macronutrients, right? Micronutrients is just another word for vitamins and minerals, right? So you have your fat-soluble vitamins, vitamins A, D, E, and K, water-soluble vitamins, all the B vitamins, vitamin C, things like that, right? You have electrolytes, minerals, all these different things. These are all micronutrients. So the nutrient density of a food is determined by the amount of micronutrients it contains. How many micronutrients exist in this food? So you're taking in the macros, eating protein, let's say red meat or something like that. You're getting the macronutrients of protein and fat. You're also getting the micronutrients of vitamins and minerals. And animal products are the most nutrient dense on Earth. So that brings me to these thermometabolic foods with the most vitamins and minerals, the most micronutrients, are what's really going to just make your metabolic furnace burn like crazy, and you create a ton of energy in your body, and everything gets better. You have more energy, better mood, better mental health, higher libido. You can build muscle easy. You can lose fat easy. Your cognitive function is fantastic. Like everything just feels great when you're operating in a high energy state. That's what the thermometabolic food list does for you. Helps your body create more energy from the foods that you're eating by loading you up with the most micronutrient dense foods. So your thermometabolic foods list is clickable. You can click this, right? This will take you to the pages. If you click on this table of contents, it will take you where you need to go. Then you just have to scroll back up. But we're going to go through the categories: super proteins, other proteins, sweet fruits, non-sweet fruits, root vegetables, other vegetables, oils and fats, grains, nuts and seeds, chocolate, herbs and spices, condiments, sugars and sweeteners, liquids, flours, Clovis nutritional supplements, snacks, and added ingredients. There's a whole lot here, and I'm just going to do a quick overview of it. I want you guys to go through it at your own pace. The most important page, though, is super proteins. The more super proteins that you add to your life, the better your life is going to get. And I spell this out, right? The most beneficial foods for healing your metabolism. Make sure to include at least 2 to 3 super proteins per day. We have pasture-raised eggs, grass-fed beef liver, shellfish, lobster, shrimp, scallops, mussels, oysters, all these, right? Wild-caught fish. And I tell you here, like for optimal results, right? 2 to 3 times per day. I have 2 to 3 eggs per day. I actually have 4 eggs per day, sometimes 5. Half ounce of beef liver is great. You can eat shellfish 3 times per week, wild-caught fish 2 to 4 times per week, grass-fed beef bone broth 1 to 3 cups per day, grass-fed powdered collagen, which I sell in the Clovis store. I have a very, very high-quality pasture-raised beef collagen. So this is the thing, right? When you download this metabolic foods list, now in a perfect world, I want you to go to justinnault.com/free and book a free health assessment with either me or one of my Clovis coaches. And I want to work with you. I want to work with you one-on-one and transform your life and get you custom macros, custom fitness plans, biohacking, all the optimization we can do to make you the healthiest and happiest version of you. Happiness being the number one driver of everything we do at Clovis. We want you to live your best life and be happy, right? I want to do all that with you. That said, I want this thermometabolic foods list to tell you what you need to know to get you super healthy, even if you're not tracking calories, tracking macros, or doing some big plan, right? Just these little things like the 2 to 3 eggs per day, a half ounce of beef liver per day, shellfish 3 times a week. These will all help you. Now, the super proteins, this is the most important page in my opinion, because these are the most nutrient-dense foods gram for gram, meaning that per gram of food, the super proteins have more micronutrients, vitamins, and minerals than any of the other foods on this list. That said, all the other foods on this list are still incredibly nutrient-dense. This is just like the Rolls Royce of food. If you're just trying to get the most vitamins and minerals per bite, the super proteins page is where it's at. So look through that, go through that. Then we have all our other proteins, beef, bison, lamb, chicken, turkey, pork, any wild-caught fish, any game meat, goat, whatever you want, right? Everything. Then we move on to our sweet fruits. The majority of your carbohydrates actually want coming from sweet fruit and honey. And I want you to go organic whenever possible. This is super important. I won't say it always needs to be that, but choose yourself, invest in your health, go with organic whenever possible. And again, you don't even necessarily need macros here. I highly recommend you work with me and get a custom plan and work with me. Go full on, invest in your health. But just read these little pages, right? The majority of your carbohydrates should come from fruit and raw honey. And you'll see raw honey again on page 15. Then we dig into the non-sweet fruits. Basically, these are some things that aren't even thought of fruits as people, but anything that contains a fruit, contains seeds is technically a fruit, right? So again, organic whenever possible. Here are just some additional fruit options for you: avocado, olives, cucumber, squash, pumpkin, zucchini. Moving on, we have the root vegetables, additional carbohydrates and dietary fiber. Again, buy organic whenever possible. Now, most people are coming to me with the goal of weight loss. If you're not trying to lose weight, you don't really need to worry about this limit to 1 serving per day. But if you're trying to lose body fat, I would limit this to 1 serving per day and just pick one of these root vegetables. And I also have a star here because you're going to see in other vegetables, I don't want you eating raw vegetables. I don't like raw vegetables. Even leafy greens, I want you to cook them. Broccoli, spinach, kale, definitely rinse them, cook them to get rid of some of those anti-nutrients that contain there. Carrots are the only root vegetable that can be consumed raw. All other root vegetables should always be cooked well, never raw. And always cook vegetables in a saturated fat like butter, ghee, or coconut oil to increase nutrient absorption. We actually have clinical studies that show cooking things like leafy greens in a saturated fat substance in a skillet or something increases nutrient absorption. Then we get into other vegetables, organic whenever possible. And again, none of these are ever going to be eaten raw, okay? So just make sure these vegetables should always be well cooked. Never consume them raw. That's why we have this asterisk here. All these vegetables should be cooked, all right? Take a look at those. Then we have oils and fats, right? The majority of your fat should be saturated, and we're removing polyunsaturated fats, canola oil, soybean oil, all those things. So these are the only oils you should be using. Go through these, learn them, get used to them, memorize them, and use these things for cooking, baking, all that, right? Drizzling on if you want to do a salad dressing or something like that. Read through this. Then we have grains. There's really only one grain that I want you eating. Buy organic white rice, jasmine rice or sushi rice. Fantastic option. Do not get non-organic because it contains arsenic. All right, you don't want to do that. Arsenic, phytic acid, all sorts of other things. Make sure that you are buying organic white rice only, no brown rice. Trust me on this. Then we move into nuts and seeds. Again, you want these roasted, soaked, blanched, or sprouted, no raw nuts. And these are my top picks for nuts because they contain mostly saturated fats, some monounsaturated fats, and low amounts of polyunsaturated fats. Then we move into chocolate. Be vigilant about sourcing your chocolate, okay? The chocolate industry is really nasty. There's child labor and all sorts of crazy stuff going into the big guys like Nestle and Lindt and all these chocolate companies. You don't want to trust them, right? So just make sure you're getting fair trade chocolate only so that humans are not literally harmed in the making of it. And limit to 1 serving per day. Get anything 80% cacao or above. Hu Chocolate, HU, is a great brand. Taza Chocolate, T-A-Z-A, another fantastic brand. There are a lot of brands of chocolate you can get that are really good, right? Then we have herbs and spices, right? All herbs and spices are approved. So if it's an herb or a spice, you can do it. Go for it. Don't feel limited to this list. I can't list every single herb and spice in the entire world. This would be a crazy long food list, right? But I want you guys to go ahead and lean into these. Make your food taste delicious, okay? Make sure that you're enjoying the foods that you eat. Condiments, same thing. So be vigilant about ingredients labels because high fructose corn syrup and seed oils like sunflower oil, soybean oil are sneaky. They're in condiments all over the place. Be very, very careful. So be vigilant about the ingredients list. Make sure that you're not getting any of these items that contain high fructose corn syrup or any seed oils like soybean oil, canola oil, rapeseed oil, sunflower oil, etc., etc. Sugars and sweetener, same thing. Check the ingredients on things like stevia and monk fruit. Believe it or not, when you get stevia and monk fruit powders in the grocery store, it'll be advertised as stevia or monk fruit. You turn around, look at the ingredients list. The first ingredient will be like maltodextrin or sucralose or something like that. You don't want those. You want to get like the pure versions of it, right? Make sure they only include stevia or monk fruit. Then here's all the sugars you can have. Raw honey, liquid stevia, stevia powder, liquid monk fruit powder, coconut sugar, cane sugar, molasses, maple syrup. I don't want you to worry too much about sugar. Sugar is not bad. Certain forms of sugar are bad, and sugar as it's found in like donuts and pastries and other things are bad because it's combined with so many other things, okay? Then we have the liquids. This is pretty easy, a good measure for you to aim for. Again, since you don't have a custom plan for me, come work with me. We'll have a great time. But generally speaking, do about half your body weight in ounces of water each day. 150-pound person would consume 75 ounces of water. Then just look through all these things, right? All these different liquids that you have available to you. And again, bone broth is here twice because that's on the super proteins page as well. Then we have flours, right? This is if you need to replace flour of some kind and you want to do some cooking or things like that, baking, go with almond flour, coconut flour, arrowroot, cassava flour, sweet potato flour. Another option here that you have that's actually not listed, should be listed, is white rice flour, right? We talked about organic white rice earlier. You can get organic white rice flour for baking as well. It's a good substitute for baking. Then we have some Clovis products, obviously my superfood powder, my hydration drink mix. These are incredible products that I formulated myself. I think you're going to love them. You get a ton of benefit from them. You can purchase them right from the list. Then we have snacks, right? So when we're talking about snacks, we want to learn to be ingredients labeled detectives, right? Any snack is approved if every ingredient on the ingredients list is on the approved foods list, all right? So here's an example. This is Boulder Canyon potato chips. So take a look at these ingredients, right? Like if you go up on this foods list, you're not going to see potato chips. You won't see potato chips in the same way you won't see Pop-Tarts or a sandwich or something like that, right? Like I'm giving you the foods, the single ingredient foods that are acceptable, that are thermometabolic, that are going to help increase your metabolic rate, right? So if you look at this, you say, oh, potato chips aren't on the list. Not true, right? Because if you become an ingredients label detective, then you look on this package, you see ingredients, potatoes, olive oil, sea salt. Look at that. Every single one of these items is on your approved foods list. Therefore, this is now a processed packaged food that you can eat and feel good about it. Another example, chocolate sea salt, right? Chocolate sea salt RX bar. Look at the ingredients. Dates, egg whites, almonds, cashews, cacao, sea salt, natural chocolate flavor. Now, like almonds are not my favorite nut of all things, right? But you can even see here, like it's probably not a ton of almonds. It's probably a few almonds per RX bar. Not my favorite nut on the planet. I like the nuts that I listed here on the approved foods list more than any other nuts. But when it comes to snacking and convenience foods, in a perfect world, you're going to be eating mostly single ingredient whole foods. I want you eating meals of whole foods, right? Like you're eating 3 or 4 eggs and having a banana and drinking some orange juice, right? You're eating whole foods. If you're going to go with these like snack type convenient foods or whatever, just make sure that they're really clean ingredients, right? This is actually great ingredients here. If you're in a pinch and you need a convenient food, you can grab something like this. As for added ingredients, here are some things you're going to come across if you're buying packaged foods. I don't want you overdoing these, but some of these, like they seem scary, right? Like xanthan gum, guar gum, sodium bicarbonate, potassium chloride, lecithin, all these different, ascorbic acid, right? It's just another word for vitamin C, right? So some of these things, they sound a little bit scary, but they're really not. So if you're looking at a packaged food and it was like, let's say it was like these ingredients plus, ascorbic acid, and you're like, oh wow, these are potato chips with some added vitamin C. Like it's not the biggest problem, right? Go easy on them. I don't want you eating that many packaged foods. Again, we want the core of your whole diet to be nutrient-dense whole foods, not packaged foods. But these are acceptable, okay? Natural flavors are generally safe, but you can actually call the brands and ask them what the natural flavors are, right? This is lecithin, should be consumed sparingly, but commonly found in dark chocolate, right? Not a big deal if you see that in very small doses. So this has just been a little run through of the Clovis Thermo Metabolic Foods list, and I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have any questions at all, feel free to just reach out to me and my team, email us, whatever you need to do to contact us. But honestly, if the only switch you ever made for your health and wellness was only eating off this approved foods list, I can guarantee you optimal health and wellness over time. Follow this for 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 3 years. Follow it for as long as you can consistently, and you will see unbelievable benefits in your health and wellness. Everything will change for you, I promise you. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. Enjoy the Thermo Metabolic Foods list.